From Miguel O'Hara referencing the doomed No Way Home multiverse event to Easter eggs pointing towards an unavoidable incursion in space and time. Here's how Spider-Man Across the Spiderverse sets up the future of Marvel. And let's face it, it could all be connected to the MCU, which became obvious when Miguel blasted his anger at Doctor Strange and that annoying nerd from Earth 199-999. Which, by the way, is the real Earth the MCU is set in according to comics, not 616. But that's not the topic for the day. Today, we're talking about how Miguel's rant ties Miles and the entire Spider Society's future to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Look, we all know the MCU is headed toward an epic multiversal event that'll be bringing a lot of different superheroes from different universes to fight a common enemy. Then we have Sony's Spiderverse, which is a whole other multiverse concept only for the Spider-Man of the universe. And since both of these cinematic worlds are exploring the same concept at around the same time, it's totally possible that at some point, they'll cross paths, with either of MCU's Spider-Men appearing in Miles' world. You know, like how Mrs. Chen from Venom appeared in the film when Spot accidentally visits that universe. Or Miles himself will get to visit Earth 199-999 or 616, whatever you want to call it. Because get this, guys, with all the human appearances in the film, this could be a very big possibility, as Mrs. Chen wasn't the only live-action cameo in the movie. A couple of our favorite Spider-Men and a villain who could possibly be part of the MCU's future also appeared in the film. The Spider-Men I'm talking about are Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, who were part of the hologram Miguel was showing Miles to make him understand canon events that could destroy universes if they didn't happen. We saw Tobey's Spider-Man kiss MJ, and him crying over Cliff Robertson, his version of Uncle Ben, whose death was one of those canon events that led to the creation of Spider-Man in that world. Plus, in Andrew's case, we saw him mourning the deaths of his Uncle Ben and Captain Stacy. That were the triggers that led to bigger events taking place in his version of the universe. And who's the villain I mentioned? You guys remember Donald Glover in Tom's Spider-Man Homecoming, right? I know, he's hard to forget. Besides, now he's probably going to play an even bigger part in the multiverse, because as Miles was exploring the Spider Society with Gwen and the rest of the guys, he met Donald as the live-action Aaron Davis, who was captured and fully decked up as the Prowler. We know he hadn't become the villain back when Peter Parker met him in the MCU, so either he's a future version of that Aaron. Interesting, right? But I know what you're thinking. That a few live-action cameos don't mean Miles' Spider-Verse will collide with the MCU, or change anything in the future of Marvel. You're missing one huge detail, though: the expansion of the Spider Society. Look at it this way. Miguel created the society to protect all the different universes connected to his kind, because he knows firsthand how a single act in time could change the future of the entire multiverse. But while he had a good thing going as the self-appointed leader of the pack, Wilson Fisk's Collider and Miles' existence have given him some anomalies to deal with, of which the very first and very literal one is Miles himself. I mean, he was never supposed to be bitten by a spider, but a multiverse accident made him the Spider-Man instead of the Miles in Earth 42. The other anomaly is Gwen Stacy and her new band, whose actions at the end of the movie proved that Miguel was going to have a rebellion on his hands that could either lead to the end of the Spider Society or its ultimate expansion. I like the second one better, because it'll make a lot more sense for the society to help all Spideys in all universes, instead of picking and choosing one or the other based on how they became superheroes. Like with Miles, who never asked Earth 42's Spider to bite him and turn him into a superhero, or Peter Parker from the MCU, whose accidental adventure has now taken everything away from him, including his friends, his aunt, and even his original identity. So you get what I mean, right? The events of Across the Spider-Verse could literally change what the Spider Society stands for, and this is something we may see happen in Beyond the Spider-Verse, which is the next film in the series, where we'll see Gwen and her gang fight to save Miles from O'Hara, who's all set to erase the anomaly one way or the other. We obviously don't have any details to share about the film yet, but Across the Spider-Verse's ending gives us a clear enough idea. After all, by bringing together Peter Parker, Spider-Punk, Pavitur Prabhakar, Spider-Bite, Spider-Ham, Spider-Man Noir, and Penny Parker, Gwen has created a group who's ready to fight against Miguel's mission to stop Miles, which is an act that goes beyond the rules of the Spider-Verse. There's also a line Gwen quotes from Miles to his parents, saying that he believed everything was possible. Which means there's definitely a way to save his dad in the next film, while also making sure Miles doesn't get hurt in the process of stopping the universe-ending canon event. And if that's possible, then isn't there a way that they can also save Tom Holland's Peter by fixing his world for him too? I know this sounds like a stretch, because there's no way these guys will make a live-action meets animated film for Spider-Man. But we don't even need to go that big for this future to happen, as there's one already being set up in the MCU in the form of Avengers Secret Wars to make it happen. Like I said earlier, this movie's gonna bring all of Multiverse's superheroes together. And if we're expecting Iron Man and Captain America to make an appearance, there's no reason not to expect Miles and his gang to show up either. In fact, this is the perfect opportunity for these guys to check out the live-action world of Spider-Man, and this'll be Miles' chance to meet even more of his kind, a couple of whom he's already seen in O'Hara's holograms. It'll be great for them to have some shared experiences as well, giving Miles some lessons that he can apply back in his world when he's done fighting Beyonder in the Secret Wars. Plus, the name Beyond the Spiderverse could also be an indication that the A-Team Spider-Gwen has formed might have a bigger purpose than just saving Miles, involving them traveling beyond their designated Spiderverse into the multiverse. Imagine how cool it'd be to see the group joining more heroes in a war that could change their lives forever. And if you're wondering how this will happen, let me remind you of the incursions we learned about in Across the Spiderverse. That could be the trigger behind this event. Now, you guys will have noticed that the incursions in Mumbatan and Miles' New York and the ones we've seen happen in the MCU, they all more or less look the same, with all of reality collapsing in on itself. We've seen this happen in Spider-Man No Way Home, and also the Multiverse of Madness. And after seeing the same thing happen in the Spider-Verse, at least one thing's for sure, all the universes follow the same incursion pattern. Now the question is, how will an incursion in Miles' world lead him to Secret Wars? Well, with Spot trying to kill Jefferson and Miles and his gang trying to save him, let's say they achieve it somehow. And in his anger, Spot transports them to a totally different universe instead. That could potentially be Tom's world, where he definitely needs some new friends, because we all know he's totally alone right now. I mean, what's better than for Tom to find some friendship in the form of a crazy bunch of Spidey people, right? But that's not the only way they could meet. Spot also has one more place he could send these guys to, the place being Beyonder's world, where the Secret Wars are about to take place. I know it sounds crazy right now, but did we ever think we'll get to see Spider Society for real, even in an animated setting, in all our lifetime? It's the multiverse, guys. You never know what could happen. One thing's for sure, though. With Miles ready to fight the universe to save his dad, he's gonna change Marvel one way or this other in the future. And that's all, guys. From Easter eggs pointing towards an unavoidable incursion in space and time, to Miguel O'Hara referencing the doomed No Way Home multiverse event. That was everything about how Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse sets up the future of Marvel.